Madam Clerk, are you ready? It is 5 o'clock p.m. and I'll officially call the Richland County Development and Services Committee meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Brenham,
Here.
Teratio, Barron,
Here.
English,
Present.
Newton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. The next item is the approval of minutes. They're on pages 5 through 8. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion, changes, or deletions? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Brenham,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Item 3 is the adoption of the agenda. I'll look to staff to see if there are any changes.
No changes, Madam Chair.
If there are no changes from the body, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk?
Brenham,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. That brings us to items for action. We have item 4A. For the purpose of preserving the historical character of the Olympia neighborhood, I move to within 12 months create a neighborhood character overlay in tandem with an update to the neighborhood plan for the Olympia neighborhood. During this time, a moratorium on new construction, rezoning, demolition, and substantial rehabilitation, 50% or more of lot area, building square footage, change in use will be in place. That motion is from Councilwoman Teratio in English, and text can be found on pages 9 through 101 of your agenda. Is there a staff person who would like to speak to this motion?
Madam Chair, Director Williams is here and available to speak to this.
Thank you, and thank you, ACA Jensen, for filling in for the county administrator. We do appreciate you, sir. Director Williams, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just coming before you with the draft of the ordinance establishing an overlay district for the historic Olympia neighborhood. Just to give a little bit of background for those who may not have followed the entire process, Olympia qualifies to receive a neighborhood character overlay district through the section 26(3-8F of the Land Development Code, because there is currently a neighborhood master plan for the area, which includes Olympia, Granby, and Whaley neighborhoods. That is one of the requirements to have a neighborhood character overlay district. And Community Planning and Development worked with Post Oak Preservation Solutions, LLC, to study the character of the historic Olympia neighborhood, and that was what was used to develop the architectural design guidelines and standards. So the ordinance is based off of those architectural design guidelines that represent that historic character of the neighborhood based off of actual study of the Olympia neighborhood and the historic characteristics of that neighborhood. So through the process, Community Planning and Development proposed the Neighborhood Character Overlay District to the Planning Commission in the spring of 2024. As part of that, there were multiple public meetings held with the We Are Olympia community. We had people come to Planning Commission to also give feedback, and we had one-on-one meetings with neighborhood representatives as well to answer their questions. The draft that was given to Planning Commission was updated based off of feedback that we received from residents and from neighborhoods in the Olympia area. And on the June 2nd, 2025 meeting, Planning Commission made the recommendation to move forward with their, with the wording in the current, to move forward with the current draft overlay ordinance that you all have in your package right now, which establishes those architectural standards. I will say, however, that if you are moving forward with this, we also have a subsequent recommendation that's coming to the Rules and Appointment Committee to establish a Board of Architectural Review. You have in your packet some details of what would go under staff review, what staff believes they can handle as far as any demolitions, renovations, or new builds that may happen in the Historic Overlay District. But there's some things that will need a more expert opinion, and we recommend the creation of a Board of Architectural Review. That recommendation also came from the Planning Commission, and so we're presenting that to the Rules and Appointment Commission to establish that Board of Architectural Review, which will need people appointed to it, so that if we need something that's higher than staff review, it would go to that board to verify they're meeting the architectural standards.
Thank you, Director Williams. First, I will turn to the makers of the motion. Councilwoman English, did you want to be recognized?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
A time frame on,
So, the Rules and Appointment meets next month, October, sorry, the date, I can't remember the exact date, but they'll meet on that, day and decide whether or not they will want to pass that ordinance for the Board of Architectural Review. If that does make it through that committee, then it will go to full council for the remainder of the three readings and public hearings. If you all approve the Olympia ordinance tonight, then it also will move forward to first reading at county council. It won't be the exact time frame, but they'll be happening around the same time if the Rules and Appointment Committee also agrees to do that establishment. What may take longer with the Board of Architectural Review is appointing members. It's finding citizen representatives that will meet the requirements and getting them onto that board.
thank you.
And if I could, Director Williams, the way that I understand it, what you said, even though the process will be happening in tandem, it's not like you'll necessarily need the board right away because there are certain things that staff can handle in-house.
That is correct. They'll be happening in tandem. If all goes according to plan and they're approved around the same time, it'll just take a little longer to appoint people to that board, but the ordinance will be in place. The subsequent moratorium for reconstruction in Olympia could be then lifted so people can continue to work, and we'll be able to do stuff on a staff level until that board is filled.
Thank you. Councilwoman Teresa, the other maker of the motion, you're recognized.
Thank you. I won't take long, but it truly did take a village to get this to the point where it is. And the engagement of staff with the neighbors, the attention to detail, working with the Planning Commission, this is all just fantastic work. And I just want to thank you all so, so much. And I know that the neighborhood will be thankful as well.
Thank you. So we have item 4A before us. Staff recommends approval. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second,
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Brenham,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
English,
yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. That brings us to item 5, the items pending analysis, no action required. We have item 5A. I move that county council direct the county administrator to research and provide to council, 1, ways to secure title to subdivision roads that were developed but never had ownership transferred to the county, and 2, to recommend changes to county ordinances and/or protocols to better assure that future development of subdivision roads include conveyance of title to the county unless there's an understanding between the developer and the county that the subdivision roads will intentionally remain privately owned and maintained. Motion from Councilman Branham, English, and Newton. Is there a staff member here to speak to that item?
Madam Chair, may I be recognized?
You're recognized, ACA Johnson.
Thank you. Director Maloney is not with us today, but I spoke with him this afternoon, and very briefly, they are working on creating a list, or they're continuing to work on the list. They are scheduled to come back before this body in February. At this point, effectively what they're doing is, as a new set of roads come in that they're evaluating, if they can be processed immediately, they are doing that. If they cannot, if there are some extenuating circumstances such as the condition of the road or the right-of-way does not meet county standards, they are adding that to a different list. And when they come back to address you in February, they will come back and report on the ones that they were able to administratively incorporate and the ones that they could not, and that require further action.
And so you may not be able to speak for Director Maloney, but I'll note that the original date of this motion was July 2024, and it's September now, and then we're saying that in February they'll come back, and I know that we've had periodic updates, but can you speak to what the driver is for a 4-month delay before they can come back and report to the body?
Yes, ma'am. Effectively, it's just volume. There are so many, and they continue to find new ones that they were not familiar with. So that is the reason why it's taking this long.
So if I may, one more thing, and then I'll recognize Barron. Basically, I'm going to go down the row because that's the order in which I saw people's hands, starting with Councilwoman Barron. There are 2 parts there are multiple parts of the motion. And so one part certainly is that titles actually be conveyed, but the other part of the motion is more of a process to identify ways to secure it, to make it more efficient. And so I guess I'm hearing what you're saying about this actual list of roads, but there's always building in the county. So if that's what we're waiting for, there's going to be a point where we never can really get a report. But I would like some more substantive update or different update in terms of where do we stand in terms of the process, where do we stand in terms of the system, if there's an opportunity to even give a percentage complete, like this is September, we want to come back to you in February because we're at 30%, and I understand that some of these are guesses, but I, for one, would love to have some additional detail and to be clear on all the movement that's happened, and with that, I won't say anything else, and I'll recognize Councilwoman Barron, followed by Councilman Branham, and those are difficult to say back to back, and then Councilwoman English.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do share your sentiments about this particular motion because I do believe if we do our due diligence, this could be one of which that, just like the previous motion that we just passed, it could be something that we could carry throughout the entire county. And so I guess, and correct me if I'm wrong, we did have a preliminary list that was provided to us.
Yes, ma'am.
So I would encourage staff to maybe look at that list in parts so that we don't have to wait until February to have a comprehensive list. If we've already gotten some, can we not work on the process to start moving the ones that we do have? Because one of the aches, and I'll be fully transparent, that I do have sometimes with our agenda is that we have things sitting here for an extended period of time, noting that staff is doing what they need to do to get the necessary information back to us. But at the same time, as we are waiting, the challenges do continue to pile up. So I'd like to, see a recommendation that to at least that previous list that was brought before this body, could we not start moving forward with that list as well with bringing a process back to us so that by the end of the year, we could see some type of movement to get to full council before the holidays?
Thank you, Councilwoman Barron. Councilman Branham.
Thank you, yes. I've alluded to it before. I don't know if I've spelled it out quite, but this motion came because a meeting was requested with me from county staff, and they presented the problem to me. So this is now like a help me, help you type situation that I feel like we're in. And, to echo some of the colleagues a little bit, but I mean, we're 18 months in. Does this still need to be on our agenda? Or do we just need to pull it? I mean, I would like to see a meaningful progress report. And I know we got a lot of information the last time Director Maloney reported, but I just need to know, is there still a need for county council's involvement in this process? Do we need to authorize legal action? Is there a request to approve an ordinance or a change in a process or a policy that can support the elements of the motion? Because as I remember it, I ran the motion by county leadership who had asked for assistance in this area. And so this isn't like a personal agenda item for me. This is me trying to help the county staff out. So I'm hoping we're gonna meet as a committee again before February, and I would like a meaningful progress report well before February, like this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Branham. Councilwoman English.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just kind of wanted to echo what AC Agent was saying. As we, Director Maloney, are having a conversation about a particular road, And in my area, in the rural area, the one road that we were talking about is slated to be on the list, but it's one of the last ones to be paved. So as it stands, it looks like it's gonna be on the 2012 plan, but it's gonna be used for the next penny tax, because it's one of the last ones. Well, in looking at that road, we found out that it branched out into 4 different roads in that same area. So the one road has now turned into 4. And so I wanted to kind of share that with the council, that it is a lot out there, and it's definitely a lot, especially in my area. So, and I just wanted to share that with you.
And thank you, Councilwoman English. And I would just say that this motion, quite apart from paving, is about the transfer of ownership of county roads, from subdivision. So it's related, but it's not quite the same. And again, the second part of this motion is, do we need to have additional ordinances or policies? So to the questions that we've raised, I'd just like to echo Mr. Branham's question. Does this need to remain on our agenda? Do we need council action? Is it moving forward? And then I'll also just note that while Director Maloney did provide extensive information, as things have unfolded, I know for a fact that there are subdivision roads that haven't been turned over to the county that were not on that list. And the reason I know is because they're in my district, and we've been wondering for years why they won't turn these roads over, literal years. So I feel like, well, let me not speak for you. Are you clear, Mr. Jensen?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Did you want to say something, Councilwoman Branham? I'm sorry. I do try so hard. Barron. Councilwoman Cooper, please speak to the
Soon to be
audience.
Cooper, that's right, practice that. No, so I just wanted a personal, I live in one of those subdivisions. And our roads in our subdivision are horrible. And there's nothing can be done. And even as we talk about developing communities and building subdivisions and all the things, and I just want to, this is my cry for help to the staff. In my district, we have a lot of growth that takes place. And, Valentine and the Chapin area is also experiencing those same things. I do believe that there is a place for council where we need to make some type of decision on how we move forward with these types of roads, so that we don't keep having this situation. The subdivision is complete, and when the subdivision is completed, it passes staff's approval, the road should be passed over. We've got subdivisions that are holding out, the turning over the roads for, one lot or 2 lots. And now the entire community is held hostage for things like that. So this is just my cry for help, just a personal face to it. Even if I wasn't on county council, I would be living in that subdivision and would be upset about the hole that I swerve and to miss every time coming in my subdivision. And there's nothing that can be done because the entity that owns the roads are not doing their fair share. You said you had it, Mr. Jensen. We believe in you, and we believe in your team. And we look forward to next month getting a real thorough, actionable report. Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to item 5B, which will teach me to write shorter motions. I move to direct the county administrator to commission an analysis of the county's residential development permitting processes and standards related to noise, flooding, air pollution, and other environmental impacts in order to ensure that the county has adopted and is following the most current industry best practices to reduce negative environmental impacts. This may include recommendations for improving and enhancing the county's land development code, land development design manual, comprehensive plan, zoning map, and related documents.
Thank you, Madam
You're
Chair.
recognized, Director
Thank you.
Jensen. ACA Jensen, apologize.
That's all good. So in the intervening months since this motion was made, staff has gone back and done a thorough review of our existing codes, regulations, standards, so forth. We put together a matrix that kind of outlines where our current regulations are, who oversees them, because some of them are not within the purview of the county, some of them belong to other agencies. And so we have that information. We feel confident that all of our standards and codes are up to date. There are things, of course, that are constantly evolving. Certain codes must be evaluated and approved every year. Some of our water regulations have to be updated and approved every year. Others, such as the comp plan and the land development code, are on a 5-year cycle, review and update. Others are our land development manual, which are the standards, the stormwater standards, the road standards, the catch basins, so forth. Those do not have a statutory cycle to be evaluated, but we are going to propose one so that it gets done, on a regular basis. It will probably be a 5-year, with similar to the land development code, but we will come back next month with a more detailed response to that. But just want to make sure that you're aware that we are confident that we have the most up-to-date codes here in the county, but we will give you a comprehensive report that details that.
Thank you, Councilwoman Barron.
Thank you. ACA Jensen, is it possible that you could share with the body that matrix that you all have or you're using internally, just for us to take a look at prior to the next meeting?
Yes, ma'am, will do.
Thank you.
And thank you, Councilwoman Barron. And ACA Jensen, there's a lot of words in this motion, but just to be clear as we're preparing this matrix, here's the heart behind this motion. It's that when there are new developments that happen because the county is growing, people come to us. And I have to look residents in the eye and I have to say, do not worry, because the county is going to inspect it, because the state is going to review it, because all these other bodies are going to look at this development and make sure that it's okay. And if I have to look people in the eye and I have to tell them it's going to be okay, then I want to make sure that it's going to be okay, because one of the things that we're seeing that I'm not sure what the right way is to address it is you have some neighborhood, pick a random year from 1980, and whatever the water standards were or the retention standards were or the standards to prevent flooding were great. And now it's 2025, and there's a new subdivision up the road and down the road and behind them and to the front of them, and all these trees are gone. And so what worked for 1980 may not be working for 2025. And so I'm saying all this to say that that's the heart behind this motion, but also to say that as much as I appreciate a good matrix, if the matrix doesn't address that I have to go out and look people in the eye and tell them that it's going to be okay, then I'll just have to write another motion, because that's what I'm trying to do.
May I be recognized?
You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That is an all too common predicament, in the fact that, things, not only do standards change over time, but improvements wear out and fail. And so one of the challenges is that the motion is really asking, what is the status of county infrastructure? That's kind of really the heart of what you're getting at. And because that's what it boils down to, is the new development may meet all the regulations. It may be a 100% to code. But if the other infrastructure is not to the same level, the impacts can be as you described. And so I would suggest that we look at it a different way, that rather than saying, are the regulations current? Because they are. The real issue is, again, what is the status of county infrastructure? And that's what we really need to sit down and look at.
And again, I'm happy to write another motion. And I, like many others, I talked to you and I talked to a lot of other people before I wrote this to try to capture what we're trying to do. But that's the conversation that we're really trying to have. We understand that growth is going to happen. And yet, I could cite any number of examples where there's a drainage ditch that's now not doing what it was supposed to do, but it used to do it, but now there's so much more stuff that's running downstream. And so how are we ensuring that we're looking comprehensively at what these standards are? Because no neighborhood anymore exists on its own. Is there another council member who would like to be recognized on this item before we move to 5C? You're recognized, Councilwoman English.
Because it's hard for us to, for the state when they're drainage did.
And you're going in and out. I don't know if it's,
No, it was just a comment about how do we address those?
Yeah.
And I know Director Maloney and his staff works hand in hand with that, with the state engineers and different things. So where our legality ends and begins is a huge question with that.
you're recognized, ACA
you.
Jensen. You got a softball.
Thank you. The short answer is that we do work hand in hand, and much of our authority comes from the state. You know, we don't inherently have it. The various departments give the authority to us to administer them. But again, the big question is, you know, what is our existing infrastructure? What is the status? How was it designed? What are the conditions? And so when we plug in new development that is designed and built to current standards, what is the effect of it? And that's really what we need to sit down and talk about.
Thank you, Councilwoman English. Thank you, ACA Jensen. That brings us to item 5C. I move that the county consider developing a neighborhood master plan that establishes policies and goals related to preservation and development in the Ballantyne community with the goal to preserve and promote the desired character of the community while also conserving and protecting the waters and watershed of Lake Murray. And this motion is from Councilman Branham from November 2024. Is there a staff member who would like to address this item? And I believe Councilman Branham also wants to be recognized, so we can.
May I suggest, Madam Chair, that we allow the council member to speak first?
Absolutely. You are recognized and somewhat voluntold, Councilman Branham.
I've never been so happy to be told to do something. Thank you, and just again, thank you to my colleagues for taking the time to pay attention to this conversation over the last 10 months or whatever it is now. The Ballantyne, when I say Ballantyne, I think all of you have heard of it. You've heard of the place, and you know there's a post office that's called the Ballantyne, South Carolina Post Office. So it's unincorporated, but it is very much a community. And just want to acknowledge some members in the audience here in the red shirts who have joined us in support of some of the objectives that we have as far as planning for the future of that community. One way that I've been characterizing an objective for the commercial corridor there is calling it a village scale. So I've been kind of calling it Ballantyne Village. In fact, there's a shopping center called Ballantyne Village right next to the Ballantyne Post Office. So maybe it's apropos, but another way that I would describe it is Main Street USA. And so it does have its own character and personality, just like Olympia does. I mean, Olympia is unincorporated, but it's also a community, a very distinct community. And so I was happy to support what we did here today, providing an overlay for them. And so just trying to work in that direction. Maybe Olympia was more preservational. Ballantyne might be both that, but also aspirational, as it is a growing community. We're dealing also in that area with a rapid march by the town of Irmo and annexing lots of property towards that direction. And that's not a shot at the town of Irmo. That's just a reality of what's happening in that area and one of the dynamics. They seem to have maybe a different idea of what they want to see in scale and intensity of new development in that area. A lot of that area is very much ripe for not only new development, but also redevelopment. And so a lot of that land is already zoned general commercial. That's a little bit more intense than what the community would like to see. Again, related to the intensity of possible uses and the scale of the development that happens there. Having said that, while some are zoned general commercial, other lots are still zoned for rural. and Homestead and stuff like that, just because they're undeveloped in that area and larger tracts of land. So there might be a little bit of like a point in time where we sit right now. This is an opportunity for Ballantyne to be able to develop and redevelop and maintain a character and personality that's something other than just continuing suburban sprawl. Just another set of suburban shopping center, big box, drive-through, gas station, blah, blah, blah. You lose the charm, you lose the personality and the character. So I've worked a lot with staff. Obviously, I got a lot of history in working with the county on zoning and development stuff. There's an existing district called MU2, a mixed-use district, and there's 3 total, but MU2 is one that really seems to closely match the objectives that we have for that area, with probably one main exception. But a couple of the things that I would call out that I just think are really great characteristics of this area, of this zoning district. You'd have more parking to the rear and to the side instead of to the front of the buildings. The buildings would be closer to the main thoroughfare. The facades of the buildings would have to have at least 3 particular design elements. Sidewalks would be required. There would be some opportunities to create outdoor dining areas, plazas. There would be a requirement for tree planting along the streets, and then also connectivity, not just for vehicles, but also for bicycles and pedestrian access. So it's an aspirational thing, but we can take steps right now to state that as a policy, the county wants to support this community in developing and redeveloping in the way that it sees fit, that we can actually have character and personality within specific unincorporated parts of the county. We can support that as a county government without them having to create their own town or their own city. And so that's what I'm hoping for. I really want to avoid anything like a building moratorium in that area. One of the things that I know that we have as an option is to potentially slightly modify that MU2 zoning district. One of the things that doesn't feel like it maybe fits the aspirations that we have is multifamily, which potentially could be apartment complexes and things like that. That doesn't fit the character of the Main Street USA that we're looking for out there. And I've had this conversation a little bit with the staff, and I don't want to speak for them, but we've had that conversation that maybe with a couple of changes to the permitted use table, MU2 might fit the bill and accomplish a lot of the objectives that we have that for making the motion. So I kind of wanted to see if, this might be news to my colleagues, but kind of wanted to see if staff wanted to provide some input about the status of the conversation, but also hear from you, my colleagues, on the potential for making a minor change or two to that MU2 district. Thank you.
And Councilman Branham, I will just say, not only do I know where Ballantyne is, according to a commercial I once saw, I used to work in historic downtown Ballantyne, right behind. Yeah, that's what the commercial said. So I know that post office very well. There used to be a multi-million-dollar business hidden right behind it, and I worked in there. So our post office box had one city and zip code, and our building had a different city and zip code, even though they were right in the same little plaza. So you are right about that interesting area. Would it be okay if I open this to staff to see if they wanted to address some of your comments before we open it up to the body?
Yeah, great.
ACA Jensen, sir, you are recognized.
Thank you. Would you please recognize Director Williams again?
I would love to recognize Director Synethia Williams.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And as Councilman Branham alluded to, we did go back and look at the original motion and then look at all the options to try to achieve the goals that he was wanting to do for the residents out there in Ballantyne. And the preferred option is to look at that MU2 district and for the county to proactively look at doing that rezone request. if we make some changes, it will have to go back to planning commission to add the additions to the MU2, and also all rezones have to go through planning commission, so it would go through that planning commission process. But that process would be a little bit faster than if we try to create a neighborhood master plan for the Ballantyne area, which the neighborhood master plan would then allow us to create a neighborhood character overlay for Ballantyne. So it's just a more drawn out process, the way our ordinance is currently currently reads. And so we would still have to notify all property owners if we go that route of what the changes would be, and make sure they're aware of that and those updates as well. So it would be just a little bit quicker time frame to achieve some of the goals that they have out there.
Thank you, Director Williams. Councilman Branham, I'll recognize you, and then I'll recognize myself.
Thanks. And I did want to mention too, in conversation with Mr. Price, by virtue of how the conversion table was set up from old zoning districts to new zoning districts, I don't believe any of the old zoning districts were automatically converted into MU2 when we had the change in the land development code. So we don't anticipate much impact to any properties in the county at this point, because not many have that MU2 zoning designation. Director Williams, you have something on that?
That is
You're
correct. I
recognized.
just wanted to let you know that that is correct. Yes,
All
sir.
right, perfect, thank you. And then otherwise, yeah, I just would probably want to just reserve the right to potentially continue to work on a neighborhood master plan, but proactive rezoning to MU2 would allow us to accomplish some of these objectives quickly while avoiding the potential for a moratorium as was had in Olympia. Thank you.
I'll recognize Councilwoman Newton and then Councilwoman Barron. So I'll just say that I'm happy to support a solution that happens more quickly for the residents. I know that this is a pressing concern for them. And so if that's something that we can do, I think it makes a lot of sense. And I just want to note for the record that I've also had conversations with the planning staff where I feel like there are a few zoning designations that are just, to use the technical term, a teeny bit more intense than the vision that people actually have for it. And I would never want for a review of some of those other zoning designations to slow down yours. I just want to note that this isn't the only zoning designation where that happens. And then I guess my only other question while we pursue this process, because it's a much faster process, there still are 3 readings and a public hearing, is there anything else we can do in terms of promoting feedback from the Ballantyne community in our comprehensive plan process that might further support what we're trying to do, as the desired timeline for the comprehensive plan is December, and part of that whole document is to outline what the vision is that the community wants. So I'm just wondering, and there may not be, but is there a way to make those in tighter sync to strengthen the outcome for Ballantyne? Or did you want to be recognized? You're recognized, Councilman Branham,
Thank
and
you.
then Councilwoman Barron.
After Councilwoman Barron gets married, I might have to go by Cooper too. I don't know. We just gotta, we gotta stay similar.
That's
I
right.
support that.
Yeah, it's a good timing of the question is great, because the Ballantyne Community Center is hosting a meeting put on by the County Planning Department tomorrow. And so that was another reason I wanted to encourage the residents to tune in today so that they could be fully up to date whenever we engage with staff tomorrow at that meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Barron.
Yeah, so I'm in full support of moving items forward that will allow us to be more effective and efficient. I guess, Councilman Branham, my question is, we would now look to, we wouldn't be taking a whole lot of action on your motion, but more so a new motion that you potentially could put forth today. Is that what you see
You're
happening
recognized,
today?
Councilwoman Branham.
Might need the county attorney's help on this, but I'd be happy to submit just a new motion. Obviously, time is of the essence, so I'd like to get, to the finish line sooner the better. I could make a motion. I think I've had the conversation with staff. I have a sense of the targeted modifications I'd like to make. They're very few to the MU2 district. So I don't know if I can amend my existing motion or whether I should make a new motion, which would get us completed quicker if council is in support. Mr.
Attorney Wright, you're recognized.
Well, it would have to be at full council if you either amend it or make a new motion. So you'd have to make that motion to full council if you want to change any motion you've already made.
Councilwoman Barron.
So Attorney Wright, could we not as a body make a motion to take action in part on this motion to go to full council? Could we do that?
Yes, the committee can make a recommendation to full council to do whatever y'all think should be done.
This is what we're talking about is an entirely different motion, is what I'm hearing.
Right, that's my question. So my question is, if Councilman Branham wanted to make the M2 motion here today, could we take that motion up today, vote on it, and then it go to full council as a recommendation out of this body?
Yes, that will be a recommendation from the committee.
Thank you, Councilwoman Barron. I've got to switch to Cooper. Attorney Wright, one quick question. Just trying to think about the timing of this. Obviously, there can be a motion from the committee that goes to full council. If it's a new motion, there can also be just a motion that's submitted straight to council. Which process is faster?
It depends
In the case that this is going to have to ultimately go to the planning commission.
It depends, either one, because I think both will have to go to the planning commission because of the subject matter. So either way, it would have to go to full council. Full council will have to make a decision, and the planning commission would also have to weigh in.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Branham, you're recognized.
All right. I wanted to, propose some modifications in the motion and ask for staff's feedback. Would that be all right?
You're recognized.
5:42. Okay. So the motion would be to amend the MU2 corridor mixed-use district to remove references to high-intensity multifamily residential, and also to remove from the permitted use table for that zoning district, dwelling, multifamily, as well as passenger terminal, surface transportation, and all.
And now I'll look to staff to see if you would like for Councilman Branham to repeat that motion. I'm seeing nods.
No, ma'am.
Okay, do it anyway, please. There's more than one staff person.
Okay.
Could you repeat your motion, and then we'll need to get a second.
Wait, can we replay what I just said for my reference? No, just kidding. The motion is to amend the MU2 corridor mixed-use district to remove any references to high-intensity multifamily residential, and from the permitted use table to remove from that district dwelling multifamily, passenger terminal surface transportation, and kennel.
Second,
It's been
Oh.
moved.
is that,
Oh, I thought
Mr.
it was
Branham, were
done.
you finished?
Yes.
Okay.
Were you ready for it? Well, let's second it for discussion, and then Whom should I recognize? I'll recognize you, Director Williams.
I would also ask, with that amendment or with that motion, if you would also allow staff to make recommendations as we're working on that so that we aren't just locked into those specific things, if there's other things we could recommend as part of that update.
Yes, I'm happy to add that to the motion. I'm gonna go ahead and add to, on that permitted use table, pool, hotel or motel, vehicle fueling station, and warehouse/distribution facility.
Okay?
I'll
Does-
accept that.
And so the
Amendment.
seconder will accept that. And so again, just from a process perspective, this motion, if approved, will go to full council. And then does it go straight to the planning commission? If council moves so? Okay. And then I would imagine that as part of that process, staff would then look, because if those uses aren't included here, are they included other places in the text, et cetera? So we have a motion that has been repeated twice. I hope you are taking notes, and it has been properly seconded. Before we vote, ACA Jensen, you are recognized.
Thank you. I just wanted to put on the record that the Planning Commission is an independent recommending body, so they may recommend something different. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that we will bring forward the proposal as stated by this committee and as moved by council. But the Planning Commission will, of course, make an independent judgment and make an independent recommendation.
Noted. Councilwoman Teresa.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I just want to be clear about that this motion is to amend all instances of this zoning. And one of the things that I would want to know is how many currently zoned properties would be affected by this change. And Mr. Branham is pointing or motioning.
Director Williams can answer that.
Okay.
I think Director Williams can answer that at a point in time that may or may not be right this second. You're recognized.
That is correct. We'll go and verify the number of properties to bring that back to the
Okay.
body.
Thank you.
You're recognized.
I want to make sure Councilwoman caught earlier, none of the zone properties that were zoned a certain way under the old land development code were automatically converted to MU2. So anything that's currently zoned MU2 would have had to been zoned as such after the new land development code went into place.
Got it. Thank you.
Our hearts and minds clear. Then it has been moved and properly seconded to amend the MU2 zoning district as referenced by Councilman Branham, allowing staff to make additional recommendations for other changes that might be desired. Madam Clerk, will you call for the vote, please?
Branham,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes?
English, Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
That brings us to item 6, adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk.
Branham,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes?
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.